Welcome back, Springs Church, to the Road to Emmaus journey. Today we're going to get into 1 Corinthians chapter 7, and this chapter has a lot of different hot topics that we could be discussing for hours, I'm sure, but I'm just going to take a few moments and start in verse 17. So if you just follow along with me, we'll share a little bit of what God has for us today. Paul says, "Nevertheless, each person should live as a believer in whatever situation the Lord has assigned to them, just as God has called them. This is the rule I lay down in all the churches. Was a man already circumcised when he was called? He should not become uncircumcised. Was a man uncircumcised when he was called? He should not be circumcised. Circumcision is nothing, and uncircumcision is nothing. Keeping God's commands is what counts. Each person should remain in the situation they were in when God called them." As I was studying and just preparing for this time together, I began reminiscing a little bit and thinking back to when I was about 19 years old and I was going to a county college in New Jersey and living with my parents. Back then, I was unsaved and I was dealing with so much turmoil inside of my heart and in my mind. And this is what I thought. I thought if I could just change circumstances, if I could change the situation that I was living in, that everything would be fine. I was having trouble in my relationships with friends. I was having trouble with a girl that I was dating. I was having issues at school. And I just thought if I can get out of this and I could do something different, then everything would begin to click. I told my parents I was going to move out to Los Angeles and that I had a friend out there who was kind of getting his feet grounded. And I was going to go live with them. And for some reason, my parents said go. And I went out on a scouting trip and I did pretty well. First week, I was having a blast. I was out at bars. I was partying. I was doing what I wanted. And everything seemed to click. But as time went on, that agitation in my spirit and that confusion in my mind, that place of feeling like life wasn't right, it wasn't connecting, it all came back. And I found myself retreating to Hermoso Beach, south of LA, where I just spent most of my time on a beach alone, day in and day out. See, what I didn't realize, and what Paul is getting out at here, is that changing circumstances doesn't always change the heart. It doesn't fix the problem. And we can try that sometimes, even as Christians. We can think, if I could just get out of this marriage and I could find another person that I feel like I could be all googly-eyed with, then everything I was missing in life would be right? Sometimes we even think, well, if I can find another church that teaches this way, or I can find another church that worships like that, if I could just get out of this situation, then everything in my relationship with God is going to click. We have this idea always that if we could just change circumstances, then everything would be right. And Paul says, no, I want you to understand something. I want you to get something. It's not about the circumstances changing. That's the issue. He says the issue is your obedience to God. He says, if you want to know where everything begins to click as a Christian, it's not just changing your circumstances. It's not just getting another job thinking that this one is just a drudgery to be a part of or whatever it might be. It's an issue of the heart. He says, if you want to come into everything that you feel like you're missing right now, then what you need to be doing is fully surrender to the Lord and seek after Him with all your mind and all your heart and all your strength. Church, can I just give you a little bit of a challenge out of love? I'm not saying it's wrong to change a church once in a while when God calls you to, and I'm not saying it's wrong to get a different job or even move. But can I be 100% honest? Before you do any of those things, thinking that's going to be the fix to the situation you're dealing with, can I be just straight with you? Ask yourself a question. How's my relationship with God going right now? Am I really fully yielded to Him? Are there any areas of my life I'm not surrendering? What about your intimate times? Are you praying? Are you spending time in the Word? Are you fostering that relationship? Because let me just say it straight, just like I learned. You can change all those situations, but if you don't get that right first, you will never be satisfied. And that's really what Paul was trying to address here in 1 Corinthians chapter 7. Springs Church, I love you. I hope you have a rest of a really great week ahead. And we're going to be getting back into it in 1 Corinthians chapter 8 when we return. God bless.